Hello and welcome, I'm Karjan, and this is Let's Art Operation Blinking Mirror Edition. So last time I finished up the last of the squirrels and I started working on Nina. So I'm going to attempt to finish Nina this time. So that way I can move on to the trees, get that all cleaned up, so that I can get to coloring, which is so much more fun in my opinion. I like throwing color around. Okay, so Nina basically wears her jacket open. No. Just more up like that. Get rid of this. And these bits right here would be the open panels of the front of her jacket, because she only secures it at her neck based on the art. I don't think this line is actually anything except a mistake. And this is a seam line, so it needs to be a lot thinner. It comes down. Actually touches her pocket and then goes through, but I've kind of got the pocket at an angle so you don't see the rest of it going down. Let's see what to talk about, since there's, I think, very little. I'm not actually doing anything new with the outlines, so in a previous episode, I was discussing the Suikoden world, and I mentioned that I wouldn't want to ever be put in a position where a true rune would choose me. I think if I ever went into the Suikoden world, I would probably end up wanting to be something like I think I'd want to be traveling merchant, so that I didn't have any real ties to any of those countries that you see, especially not Holy Harmonia. They sound like a terrible place. Harmonia sounds like a terrible place to live. Well, I suppose if you're a first-class citizen, or intelligent enough to be sponsored into sort of a first-class citizen position, that Holy Harmonia is not too bad. But I don't really like their policies. And I just don't really like Hikusak. Hikusak? Don't really know how to pronounce his name. I kind of wonder what's happened to him, because it's been mentioned, it was mentioned in Suikoden 3 that Hikusak hasn't been seen in quite a while. But he's got the circle rune, which is a true rune. It honestly sounds like a true rune that you really wouldn't. Order, stability, balance, and then eventually stagnation. Of course, I guess in a way that's a little better than the, what's it called? I guess maybe Rune of Change that the Sindar leader has, that condemned their race to wander eternally. Although parts of the legends say that they eventually found their, place to stay. I wonder if that's true. I would like to know more about the Sindar people. I find them very interesting. Of course, there's actually quite a bit about the game that, you know, I would like to know. I would like to know more about the backstory of places. Like the Northern Lands. We know very little about the Northern Lands. It would be nice to find out what's up there in the northern countries. Just discover more about, excuse me, discover more about the whole world in general. And a full world map would kind of be nice too, to have access to. I know there's some fan-made world maps out there that use the game maps as a starting point and then basically fill in from there based on hints and comments in different resource material. I don't actually know whether the seam goes down her back as well as the front, but I'm going to assume it does, which is why I'm adding it in. This should probably go up further to meet there. So yes, in the Suikoden world, I would probably attempt to become a traveling merchant, just so that I could visit the different places. I think I would choose... I'm not entirely sure which rune I would choose. Or runes. You could have 3 runes, depending upon your skill. 1 on each hand and 1 in the forehead. I think maybe... well, probably lightning. I would probably have the lightning rune. Have a lightning rune. That's really a result of... lightning is one of my favorite runes to play with in the games. And that's only partially caused by the fact that some of my favorite characters start with a lightning rune. Such as Ghetto and Flick, and I'm pretty sure there are others, but I have forgotten their exact names. Okay. It goes in like that, is what's going on. Very sharp pleats on her skirt. Her skirt also has a band of red around the edge, but I'm just going to do that in color. I'm not going to outline it. It's just a bit of border color that would go about here. So I would probably carry a lightning rune. And... probably a water rune. Because water is a very useful healing rune. And I like the idea of being able to heal myself and any potential allies that I could gain in the world. Because no matter how introverted I actually am, I think it would be nicer to travel with someone. So long as they know that I'm not always going to be talking. And don't attempt to force me into things. Also, traveling with someone more outgoing than myself would mean that I wouldn't always have to be talking to the people I meet on the road. Or the people I meet in the cities. And I know that makes me kind of a bad merchant. Bad wandering merchant, not wanting to talk to my potential customers. Shoot. I'm trying to keep the panels about equal in size. And I've got a small issue here, but that's okay. So yeah, I guess not wanting to talk kind of makes me a bit of a bad potential merchant, but it's not really that I don't want to talk, it's just that I don't want to talk excessively, I suppose. This is the person doing a commented, let's watch someone do something. Yeah, I know, that's a bit contradictory. But as I said, this was mostly to get me to get a little bit more used to talking than I actually am. I can spend entire days without saying a word in real life. It's just the way I am. That's not bad. It certainly looks better than the mess that was initially there. Okay. So let's get her socks. Let's get her socks in place. Yeah, I don't know exactly how good of a traveling merchant I would actually make, but I think it would be interesting, and it would be a little more legit than any other sort of wandering profession. I don't really feel like being a mercenary. It's just not my cup of tea. No matter how much I like the mercenaries in the game, the mercenary characters in the game, I don't think being a mercenary would be my cup of tea. At all. But you never know. I mean, it might be something that I found interest in time. I'm not entirely sure that I would get involved with any rune wars, especially if there's a tablet of stars being brought into the mess. Not entirely sure I would get involved. Although, if a tablet of stars has been brought into the picture, I don't think I have much choice in the matter. Now, if I've basically gone to the game world and I retain my knowledge of what the world is about from an outsider's point of view, in that, you know, a full 108 stars means that something good is going to happen at the very end. The main character, who, quite frankly, usually needs that something good to balance out the fact that the world's been really, really, really bad to them. Got need to put some wrinkles over here in her socks. Then no, I probably wouldn't if I ended up being one of the Stars of Destiny, I probably wouldn't turn it down if I retained the knowledge of this world. But if I didn't have that knowledge, I don't know. I think I would be one of those people that would have to be convinced pretty hard to join the quote-unquote cause. Yeah, I think I would probably be one of those people that you have to do special things in order to convince to join. No matter how much I find those characters kind of annoying in the actual game. If I didn't have the knowledge of what would happen, that, you know, if they don't get all 108 characters, bad things kind of happen, sort of thing. I would probably be very reluctant to join up. Especially if I was just a wandering merchant, because, you know, I wouldn't really have any attachment to whatever country or land we were supposed to be protecting. You know, not my home, not my trouble. I know it's not the best of attitudes to take, but it's my attitude. For good or ill, it's my attitude. I don't like to get involved with other people's messes unless necessary. And I'll usually help if I'm asked. But my help won't be... I mean, I'll give advice. But that's about it. I mean, I guess I could be quite easily just be a non-com, just open a shop in whatever base was formed. But there's sort of that thing of, well, you know, I already said I would have a rune, so, you know, maybe I should actually assist. Well, not entirely sure I want to assist openly. It would be polite of me. I don't know. It's an interesting thought train to follow. how much would I assist? And I guess another thing that would really matter is, you know, how close am I to the poor sod who got himself involved with a true rune? You know, have I known him or her for a significant portion of our lives? Have I just met them? You know, what's the deal? I think I would be more willing to help someone I know rather than a complete stranger, but that's human nature in general. Almost got this done. And then I can erase a lot of the pink lines, refine the ones that I can't erase, and then I'll need to go on to the trees. Finish the trees. Getting a lot closer to being finished. I'm actually quite pleased with that. With how much I've been working on this. And how regularly I've been working on this. And I do sort of hope I can keep doing art with this sort of regularity. Because I said in one of the previous episodes, practice makes perfect, and I haven't been practicing for a long time at this point. So if doing this makes me practice more, then I'm all for doing more of this so that I can practice more and become much better at art. Okay. Well, it's not bad. I mean, it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, and I think I might scale this down a bit. Transform, scale, and yeah, that looks a little better. I mean, I need to go back in and oops. The shoe is now a little bit skewed. Oops. So I need to make that a little bit more like that. Remove the rough edges from doing that, and change this a little bit. This needs to be a bit flatter, I think. And this needs to be a bit flatter. Something like that, yeah. Yeah, and all these lines are actually supposed to be dark, so in the end I might end up just replacing these with a dark color, turning it a dark brown, because that's the color they're supposed to be. Instead of leaving them black, but I may leave them black. This needs to be fixed too. Go in tighter like that. So that it's a little smaller. And then this needs to have just a little bit of edging like that. Yep. Something more like that. This, I think, needs to be pulled in just a little bit. Yeah, that looks better. Complete the lines. This is pulled out a little bit too much now, I think. Maybe it's more a result of this over here. So if I tighten this up a lot, so that it's just there. Nah, I don't think it needs to be. Just erase that. Thicken this line back out. Thin this line out. Yeah, it's not that great. Actually, I think what's throwing me off now this down just a hair. Control Z so I can reselect it. Let's actually put this on. Oops. Layer view cut. That way I can just play around with the placement. Yeah, that'll probably do. Something more like that. Which puts the foot more in line with the other one. And then add sort of an indication over here. Not much of one. Just the tip of a toe. Yeah, that's probably as good as I'm gonna get it. And then at this point you can totally see how much I'm going to have to correct over in here. So, just layer via cut, and then transform, scale, (80/90). Whoops. Let's see. Undo. Yeah, wrong one. Layer via cut. There. Now, image. Oops. Edit. Transform. Scale. (80/90). Accept. And then move it into place. And then for this one, I don't really care about that line. It's gonna be hidden. This one goes more like that. You just move lines around. Until we are satisfied with where they go. Okay. Now, I don't really care about anything down here at all. So I'm just going to erase. And I don't care about anything beyond the socks. Although this sock should be up higher. Now that I'm actually looking at it again. This sock should be up here. Nope. A little bit like that. Yes. And then I need to connect these two. Thin the lines back out. Okay. All right. It's already looking a little better. And with that, I think I'm going to call it, and we'll finish Nina in the next episode, and then move on to the trees. Until then, see